Vacancy Board is a statutorily created board of the Borough of Doylestown. It's an official board pursuant to state statute, and it's composed of the members of Borough Council, 8 in total right now due to the resignation of Mr. Brennan, and the appointed Vacancy Board chairperson, Mr. Curtis Cowgill, and he will chair the meeting. The sole purpose of the Vacancy Board is to fill vacancies on Borough Council in borough elected offices. And in this case, its purpose is to fill a specific vacancy in the office of Member of Council for Ward 2. And for the record, this meeting has been properly advertised, and there is a quorum present. This is the first meeting of the Vacancy Board in 16 years. Mr. Cowgill has been our member of the Vacancy Board for well over a decade, and this is his first meeting as well. So you may be a little rusty, bear with us. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Cowgill.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call to order the January 23, 2023 meeting of the Vacancy Board. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first order of business this evening is the appointment of a registered elective of Ward 2 to fill council vacancy for a term ending on December 31, 2023. May I have a motion? Mr. O'Brien.
I would like to make a motion to nominate Mr. Curtis Cowgill for the vacancy in Ward 2.
Second.
Second by Mr. Margolis. For the record, in case you're wondering, Mr. Cowgill will be abstaining from any vote this evening related to his candidacy directly or any vote that would indirectly advance his candidacy, just for the record before we start. Call the roll. Or actually, no, we have.
Excuse me, I think we asked for public comments.
Correct.
Do we have any members of the public that wish to make a statement?
And before we start, just please approach the microphone. We're going to ask you to come up to the microphone, speak into the microphone. Just a few ground rules. Identify yourself for the record along with your address. If you have questions, you're addressing the chair and not your other members of the audience or specific members of Borough Council.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Peruto Broad. I reside at 33 East Ashland Street in Doylestown Borough, and I'm here to offer my support for the election of Curtis to fill this vacant space. It seems as though after 16 years, the stars aligned, and now the opportunity has presented itself. And anyway, my relationship with Curtis started about 6 years ago when he interviewed me for a volunteer position at the YMCA. I since then have been on the board with him. I've seen him serve as the chief volunteer officer, a fellow board member, the chair of countless subcommittees. He offers to chair these things when nobody else will roll up their sleeves and do it. He is overzealous and in the best of ways. He's very involved with other organizations beyond the YMCA, but I know him best through the YMCA. He has been on the advisory board for the local hospital. He has helped the county theater, and I think that's probably only a small fraction of what he has done as a public servant in this area. Because he is so humble, he doesn't necessarily rattle off his extensive resume. Because he is unassuming, kind, very interesting, and very capable. He does not take himself too seriously, even though he is brilliant. He knows everyone in this town, in this area, and to know him is to love him. I think that he would fill this vacancy well, and I'm extremely excited to support him in this new role if he were to receive it. He's probably embarrassed I'm here right now, but too bad. We happened to be catching up on the phone last night, and he subtly mentioned that this was going on. So here I am. Let's see. I should say also, he loves Doylestown through and through. He has lived everywhere in his naval background, and he considers this his home. And he wants to establish his roots here forever. And I think that he's the best person for this role in this town. You will not be disappointed, and you will very much enjoy working with him if he is elected. And that's all. Does anyone have questions? Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Nice to see you all here. I come before you,
Lou, you want to give your name and,
I'm sorry, Lou White, formerly of School Hill Drive and now of Pine Run, the township on, well, no, anyway. So I come before you to ask for your vote for Kurt Cowgill to fill the Ward 2 vacancy on Borough Council. I've known Kurt for almost 40 years and can recommend him without hesitation. His then wife-to-be was our neighbor on School Hill Drive. The borough is facing important challenges, as is every community. But Kurt will be able to hit the ground running if appointed to this seat. I have 3 reasons for saying this. His graduation from the Naval Academy and his service as an officer in the U.S. Navy have reinforced a moral compass already strengthened by his Midwestern upbringing. His integrity and honesty are without question. Partly for this reason, he was chosen by Congressman Fitzpatrick to interview and screen candidates for the various military academies. His work with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has given him vast experience in listening to and working with the public and responding accordingly. His leadership positions, as you've heard, with the Y, the Bucks County Symphony, Doylestown Health, the Bucks County Opportunity Council, and the County Theater have convinced me of his effectiveness and respect for group process. As a committee member, he will study issues and have an opinion, but will be a team player and value consensus, important qualities in a council member. He will understand the big issues. Most importantly, as a member, his only agenda will be what is good for the residents and businesses of this town we all love. But ultimately, it is the voters of Ward 2 who should decide who their council representatives should be. So it makes sense that Kurt be appointed to only complete Tim's term, thus giving voters an opportunity to make their own choice in November. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any member of council have any questions? Or statements?
No.
Mr. Davis, will you call the roll, please?
Okay, a yes vote is in favor of the appointment of Mr. Cowgill to fill the term. Mr. Bell?
no.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Ms. Jarrett?
No.
Mr. Lavrone?
No.
Ms. Margolis?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Popkin?
Yes.
Cowgill abstains. The motion fails by a vote of 4 to 4 with 1 abstention.
Do I have another motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Shauna Tyson.
Second.
Second.
Are there any comments or questions? Any members of the public? Members of council? Mr. Davis, please call the roll.
The yes vote is in favor of the appointment of Shanna Trichon to fill the term. Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
No.
Ms. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. Lavrone?
Yes.
Ms. Margolis?
No.
Mr. O'Brien?
No.
Ms. Popkin?
No.
Mr. Calgill abstains. Motion fails by a vote of 4 to 4 with one abstention. Ask for another motion.
May I have another motion?
Not sure how to say this, but I'd like to nominate Mr. Cowgill again to fill the vacancy.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Again, comment?
Any comments or questions? Any members of council? Mr. Davis?
Okay. The motion is in favor of the appointment of Mr. Cowgill. Let me make a note here. Mr. Bell?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Ms. Jarrett?
No.
Mr. Lavrone?
No.
Ms. Margolis?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Popkin?
Yes.
Mr. Cowgill abstains. The motion carries by a vote of 5 to 3 with one abstention. Mr. Cowgill is appointed.
And I think we should note for the record that the term officially ends on the first Monday in January of 2024.
Oh, that's my mistake.
So I wanted to get that on the record.
Almost
First Monday of
cost somebody a week there. I think at this point, we'd be looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Vacancy Board.
With the business concluded, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting has concluded.
Shall we adjourn again?
What's that?
And I would ask the mayor if she could come down and swear in our newest member of council.
Be honored.
Go that way.
I, Curtis Calvin,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear.
that I will support, obey,
I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and I will discharge the duties of my office
as member of Borough Council
as a member of Borough Council
of the Borough of Doylestown
of the Borough of Doylestown with fidelity.
And next, I'll just proceed with the presentation. So tonight, we have a certificate of appreciation for Isi, I say that part correctly, Priano, for her work with the Human Relations Commission. But before we do I'd like for you to come up along with Doreen, and Doreen is going to explain what the project was for the Human Relations Commission.
You can hold the microphone if you wish.
Yeah.
There you go.
Get it?
We got-
Good evening.
Is it out for?
Is it? There we go.
It just snaps out of the holder.
It just comes out.
There you go.
Thank you. As all of you know, and here in the audience, I am one of the members of the Human Relations Commission. We were formed, we were approved in 2010, and since then we have 9 members who have been meeting over the years, working on different issues. It appears that only recently we have begun to reach out for the purpose of what we were formed to do, which is to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion for businesses, tourists, and residents. I'd like to ask if anyone has ever been treated unfairly. If that is so, we want to let you know that is not going to happen here in Doylestown. And I'm going to turn this over to the mayor right now. She is going to introduce Isi Priano, who, do we have that? The cling that you see up there is a cling for your window, and she was one of, 3 people who entered a design. Hers was selected. We are very proud of it. It will be something that will be seen on store windows, even in home windows, to promote the fact that we are an inclusive community. There you go.
And before I present the certificate of appreciation, we did present this to our Merchants Association, I guess it was last week. And I have to say that they were very open to the cling concept and actually embraced it. So that was very gratifying for us to know that it wasn't going to be a struggle. So Izzy, we're presenting the Certificate of Appreciation honoring your commitment and logo design for the Human Relations Commission Cling Project. The display of your logo will serve as a sign of a safe space where everyone participates equally with mutual respect, free from fear and discrimination. Thank you so much for your beautiful design.
Get the wide angle camera. I'm trying to get him to put the microphone back in.
They're up on the.
Put the microphone back in. Yeah. There you go.
Who needs it? Who needs it?
Thank you, James.
Before we continue with the rest of the meeting, I would offer anybody who doesn't want to stick around for the business part of the meeting, they're free to leave, so.
Yeah, well, you can.
The next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes from our December 19th, 2022 council meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none. I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Mayor, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yes, I do have a report this evening. And welcome everyone to a fresh start in the new year. The borough is already ramping up for 2023. Briefings from our borough manager indicates departments are all on track for activity and plans for the year. Discover Doylestown has already issued applications for the 2023 Arts Festival and has collected 96 applications so far. Other events, the bike race, book festival, the Pride Festival, the card show, and the fishing dam are all in the drawing board. As I reflect on 2022, there were so many events that I think of it as the year that we shed COVID. We'd been sequestered for so long that there was pent-up demand to celebrate, socialize, and experience our humanity as we once knew it. And 2022 was a year that expanded the cultural diversity of events in Doylestown. There was the first Sari Run in the township, our first Eid, I think that's the way you say it, observation, the end of Ramadan, hosted at the Mercer, our first Juneteenth celebration hosted at the Mercer, the third year for our Pride Festival, our second Diwali event that moved from Burpee Park to the Mercer, our 109th lighting of the Christmas tree and arrival of Santa. The first day of Hanukkah was celebrated at the Dreidel in its 19th year, and our first Kwanzaa observation, again, hosted at the Mercer. Doylestown is far more diverse than when I grew up here. Diversity brings disparate ways of thinking together and new ways of approaching solutions. Our events speak to the borough's mutual respect, embrace of one another's uniqueness, and the peaceful coexistence that lives within our own community. It is organic growth of which we can all be proud. Since it was Martin Luther King Day last Monday, I was looking through quotes to find one addressing diversity, and I ran across one from Catherine Pulsifer. We are all different, which is great because we are all unique. Without diversity, life would be very boring. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Public Safety, Mr. Frederick, do you have anything for us?
Yes, I do, Mr. President. Consideration of ordinance 2023-1, creating residential permit parking on Union Street between Shule Avenue and Hamilton Street. Attached, please find ordinance number 2023-1, which creates residential parking on Union Street between Shule Avenue and Hamilton Street. A parking study performed by the Central Bucks Regional Police Department determined that this area qualifies for residential permit parking. And the public meeting was also conducted, to which all residents of these blocks were invited. Council, at its December 19th, 2022 meeting, authorized the drafting and advertisement of the ordinance, and the ordinance has since been properly advertised. The Public Safety Committee is recommending that council adopt ordinance number 2023-1. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Yes. Could you step forward to the microphone and identify yourself for the record?
James Lannon, East Ashland Street. Chief Knott, could you please explain how the department conducts a parking study?
Sure. We have certain parameters that we have to meet to make sure that there's a number of cars that are both residents and non-residents. So it's quite a complicated formula that we follow, and we do it over a couple weeks' time, varying the different times of the day to try to get a snapshot of what's going on that particular street. And then we turn that over to the Public Safety Committee, and then they discuss it further.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let's be aware, there's a minimum threshold set by ordinance that must be met to even consider an area for permit parking.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of ordinance number 2023-2, restricting parking on Union Street between Shule Avenue and Hamilton Street. Attached, please find ordinance number 2023-2, which restricts parking on Union Street, both sides, between Shule Avenue and Hamilton Street from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. Council authorized the drafting and advertising of this ordinance at the December 19th, 2022 meeting. The ordinance has been properly advertised. The Public Safety Committee is recommending that council adopt ordinance number 2023-2. If council wishes to follow recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Let me, just for clarification purposes, I want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Number one is creating a residential parking permit. So residents would get a permit for their vehicle. They can park on the street unrestricted time. Number two would be during business hours. It's limiting the amount of time you can park there if you don't have a resident permit. Is that a correct interpretation?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Correct, all but resident permit holders would be subject to this restriction.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And one more, consideration of ordinance number 2023-3, eliminating parking on West Street from Union Street to Doyle Elementary. Attached, please find ordinance number 2023-3, which prohibits parking at all times on the west side of West Street from the intersection of West Street and Union Street northwest to the borough boundary, Doyle Elementary. This ordinance will reduce traffic speed by narrowing the vehicular cartway while providing a new transportation and recreation amenity of a 5-foot bike lanes on both sides of West Street. Council at its December 19th, 2022 meeting authorized the drafting and advertisement of the ordinance, and the ordinance has since been properly advertised. The Public Safety Committee is recommending that council adopt ordinance number 2023-3. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and the last is the Doylestown Fire Company number 1 report. Everyone has a copy of that in their packet. And that is the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick. Public Works and Administration, Mr. Brown, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. President. We did not meet, but I'll pass it over to Mr. Ellinger as we enter another snowy possibility tomorrow on Wednesday. Looks like just a mess, but.
Wimpy snow.
Public Works Department is assuring you that it will not snow tomorrow.
Wednesday.
This week.
All right.
Actually, the temperatures will be too warm.
Okay.
But the department has been keeping busy with various maintenance and repair jobs, including we've been doing tree maintenance work, some water work with the water department, list of needed repairs, and also some concrete and flat work. So that is the end of my report.
Very good. And I have noted that you said there will not be snow this week, so.
Yeah, that's in the minutes.
Simulations. Wait,
In the minutes.
Proviso.
Oh, no. That's all we have from Public Works, Mr. President.
Is that it, Mr. Brown?
Yep.
Thank you. Community and Government Affairs, Ms. Abell, do you have anything for us?
No, we don't.
Okay, thank you. Zoning and Planning, Ms. Jarrett.
We did meet this week, and we do have a resolution. It is consideration of resolution number 2023-1, setting the 2023 schedule of downtown street events that may require temporary platform removal. This is in relation to our platform dining that we started last year. Attached, please find Resolution 2023-1, establishing a list of events that may require removal of street platforms in 2023. The platform dining ordinance allows the borough to temporarily suspend licenses for certain scheduled events, as well as unforeseen emergencies. Resolution 2023-1 sets that dates and locations for these scheduled events, and because of the various locations of the event, staff does not anticipate that any platform will need to be removed more than 3 times. The Zoning and Planning Committee is recommending adoption of Resolution 2023-1, and if council wishes to do so and follow the committee's recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move. Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public?
Just note that last year, the Doylestown Inn was our only sidewalk platform applicant, and they successfully broke down and reinstalled their platform at least twice with really no. So last year's experiment with the Doylestown Inn as to whether it would be plausible for these places to break down and reconfigure after public events worked very well. So we think if others to join the party this year, they'll be able to accommodate these events as well.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have the HARB report. It was only a sign application, so the following application was submitted and distributed to the Historic and Architectural Review Board for review. And due to lack of quorum and the inclement weather, the board did not hold its December 22nd, 2022 meeting. A lot of twos. Borough staff, in conjunction with feedback received from individual HARB members, makes the following recommendation. For a sign application, 189 South Main Street, Selena Doucette is the applicant, and a recommended issuance of a certificate of appropriateness for a black aluminum terrace fencing compliant with building code requirements. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends that council approve the application in accordance with the staff's recommendations. If council wishes to follow the committee's recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council?
I just want to make one comment that it's not a sign, right? It's not a sign application, it's fencing.
Right, yeah, so it's fencing, like railings.
On a terrace.
Right,
It is.
so
That was
it's
a typo on my part.
right.
I
so
apologize for that.
Sorry about that, sorry. So the application is for black aluminum terrace fencing, and it is compliant with the building code requirements. Thank you, Ms. Popkin.
Any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Additionally, the code enforcement and building inspection reports are in the packet. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Jarrett. Environment and Rec, Ms. Margolis, what do you have for us?
We canceled our meeting so that members of the committee could attend a joint task force meeting from the Doylestown Township and Doylestown Borough EACs. And Mr. Laverne and I did attend that meeting, and it's a very exciting joint group that will be working on a plan to mitigate climate change in the area. So we'll be looking forward to hearing more about that, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Ms. Margolis. Water Utility, Mr. Lavrone, your first opportunity to report tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President. There was no Water Utility Committee meeting in January. However, as the newly appointed chair of the committee, I will be meeting with our water system chief operator, Jerry Matuzzo, this Wednesday morning in his office to get a briefing on the state of the water system and upcoming projects. Any other council or staff members are welcome to attend. Just let me or Jeremy know so that we can get enough coffee, bagels, cream cheese, lox, and actually, it's BYOB. Ms. Jarrett, our former committee chair for the Water Committee, is there anything you'd like to add about the committee and/or the water system in general?
We did not meet this past month, but you are in very good hands with our water staff. They're wonderful, and I look forward to having you as chair.
Very good, thank you. Anything from staff present to share concerning the water system? Mr. Ellinger, you made a brief comment earlier. Is there anything more specific about the water system you want to share with us?
We had the additional chemical treatment building, prefab building delivered this last week.
Right.
Out at Sandy Ridge, and that was a big exciting thing with
Yes.
the biggest crane I've seen in a long time.
Mhm.
That was exciting for the little boys. And other than that, they're going to plumb it up and get it all fitted out, and I'm sure Jeremy, at your next water, will report on the progress of that. But it's all great in the water department. We're really knocking out a lot of repairs. There's a lot of synergy with the Jeremy's doing a good job, really doing an excellent job, actually.
Very good, glad to hear that, thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to clarify, was that BYOB, was that bring your own bagel or bring your own?
Bring your own whatever.
Okay.
Bring your own everything.
Just checking out. Making sure.
We'll see you there.
Mr. Chairman.
And then the next meeting of the Water Utility Committee will be on Valentine's Day, February 14th. After it gets advertised, we are going to be having a new start time on that. It'll be 6:30 rather than 6 o'clock, so that just has to be advertised, the change. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Lerone.
Thank you.
Ms. Popkin, Finance and Pension.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy New Year, everyone. And we accomplished the budget for 2023 in December, and the Finance and Pension Committee met this month, and we have a few items. One is the 2023 COLA for non-uniform pension plan retirees. We use Gerard Pension Services. They are our consultant for the non-uniform pension plan. And they reviewed the plan in accordance with 2011-15. And they have provided us information on the 2023 cost of living adjustment, which is COLA, to the plan recipients. And based on the increase of the CPI this year from October 21 to October 22, the amount of increase for that period was 7.7%, which is a lot. And the annual COLA is optional, and such increment shall not exceed the percentage increase in the appropriate CPI. This benefit may be provided to the retired participant effective the 1st January following at least 1 year from the initial date of retirement. Therefore, COLA increases are not guaranteed and are reviewed by the Finance and Pension Committee on an annual basis. In your packet attached is the schedule detailing the optional 2023 COLA for eligible retirees. To be eligible, the recipient must have been an employee, not a surviving spouse, and must have been in the plan for the full year prior to the proposed increase. And on that list, we do not have any surviving spouses on that list. The Finance and Pension Committee reviewed this item at the January 12th, 2023 meeting, and we are recommending a 2% COLA to the eligible retirees. If council agrees with this recommendation, it may award the 2023 COLA by motion, and I do so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none. I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The second item on the list is the First Amendment to the T-Mobile Maplewood cell site lease. And attached, please find the above referenced agreement. The merger of T-Mobile and Sprint has resulted in a consolidation of the two carriers' cell sites. The attached agreement reduces the current rent for the site in exchange for a new 5-year base term with the possibility of up to 5 successive 5-year renewal terms. The alternative is the termination of the current lease and the abandonment of the site. The Finance and Pension Committee is recommending the approval of this amendment. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I do so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council?
Just wondering if that's what abandonment issues means.
I can't say it. I can't say it.
You can't get away with anything.
Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item for finance is the consideration of a resolution 2023-2. This is confirming the creation of a memorial, bequest, and gift fund for Fanny Chapman Pool for charitable donations. Attached, you will find the resolution 2023-2, and this creates a memorial, bequest, and gift fund for the Fanny Chapman Pool charitable donations. Fanny Chapman Pool is fully financially independent, and it operates without using any tax dollars for membership or program operations. But recently, there has been interest in larger charitable donations for the pool for non-operating expenses. The pool board felt that the formal policy and organization statement should be put in place. And I'll just comment that there is a family that has pledged a donation annually that will go into this fund. This has been reviewed by the borough solicitor. The Finance Committee supported the efforts of the pool board to encourage community investment in the facility that opened in 1927 and is recommending council adopt Resolution 2023-2. And if they wish to make a motion, and I do so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then one last item, Mr. President, is the finance report that's included in your packet for the prepaid bills, which will total $837,349.43. And I make a motion to approve this, and if council so moves. Or,
Do
I said.
we have a second?
Wendy's the second.
Wendy was the second, okay. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that is the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Popkin. Personnel, we do have some business tonight. For those of you who were here earlier, the Personnel Committee meets rather infrequently, but we had a busy month. We interviewed candidates for the open council position, and I want to congratulate our newest member of council for joining us tonight. In addition to that, we met on January 12th and 17th and to interview candidates to fill various boards and commissions vacancies. As a result of the interviews, the committee is recommending the following appointments. On the Economic Development Advisory Board, we're recommending Matthew Reese for a term, full 3-year term that would run through 12 of 25 and starting in January of 23. EAC Environmental Advisory Council, David Rydell, full 3-year term, 123 through 1225. 2 appointments to the Fanny Chapman Pool Board, excuse me. My mind's a little tizzy tonight.
Ready to go there?
I don't want to get into that right now. Dave Rizzi for a full 3-year term, and Connor O'Hanlon for also a full 3-year term from January 23 to 12 of 25. On the HRC, we have two appointments recommended. Stephanie O'Mara for a partial term, a one-year term, 1/23 through 12/23, which is the balance of the existing term, and Christopher Bakash, partial term of 2 years, 1/23 through 12/24. We have three recommendations for the Planning Commission. Nick Karamenico, a full 4-year term, 1/23 through 12/26. Andy Happ and Patricia West, also full 4-year terms, 1/23 through 12/26. I might add, there's a requirement that the Planning Commission have members who are on the HARB and, I can't think of the other ones.
EAC.
EAC. And Andy Happ is currently on the HARB, and Patricia West is on EAC, so that would fulfill that requirement. And on the Shade Tree Commission, we have Lisa Masharash for a fully 5-year term from January 23 through 12/27. We also interviewed candidates for student board members for the term May of 2023 through April of 2024. On the HRC, Human Relations Commission, we're nominating Thomas O'Reilly, and on the HARB, the Historic and Architectural Review Board, we're nominating Hayden Morocco. As the junior council person next year for the term September 2023 through May of 2024, we're nominating Jack Swartley. If council wishes to follow the Personnel Committee's recommendation as stated above, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Yes, James.
James Lannon, East Ashland Street. I just want to say, when I was looking at this yesterday, I want to express my appreciation to all of you for giving me some reinforcements with haste. It's going to be a very busy year at the Planning Commission. Thank you much.
You will.
Thank you.
It's also notable that Jim Lannon hasn't been appointed to any of these positions. Is the first time in many.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Yes.
Just that, so please, we have 2 board members on the HRC. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. It's nice to see these positions, and although we filled a lot of positions, there still are some openings. And I guess we'll be advertising those remaining.
Yeah, we'll be re-advertising the remaining openings.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Professionals reports. Mr. Doherty, you have anything for us?
Thank you. I have nothing to report tonight.
Bucky, anything for us?
No report, thank you.
Chief, what do you have for us?
No report, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. On the President's report, unlike my usual self when I'm quiet at this point, I just want to remember Mr. David Loston, who recently passed away, was a member of this council for a number of years. And I know when I first joined council, he was a man that I looked to for kind of guidance and day-to-day, how does this thing work? And he was very helpful. And I would like to offer also that we close the meeting when we adjourn in his memory. And that's the President's report for tonight. Any old business? Hearing none. Any new business? Hearing none. Open public comment. Anybody have anything they'd like to add? We do not have an executive session tonight, correct, John?
We do not.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn in memory of David Loston.
So moved.
We have a motion second. All in favor? Any comments? I'm sorry. From council?
I would just like to say, I knew Dave very well, his wife and my wife, and we were all very good friends. And the unique things that David did, not just on council, but his whole life, from owning 2 radio stations, being a state representative in South Dakota, then coming back here at, I think, age 40, getting his law license, and just on and on. I mean, he could go through it for half an hour, the things that he accomplished. So he'll be sorely missed, but we will remember him. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Stand adjourned. Did I sign that?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.